Black Tie Optional is a podcast about people who have figured out how to make a great living doing what they love. We share stories about the highs, the lows, and what pushes them daily to achieve their dreams. My name is Philip Benz, and welcome to Black Tie Optional. Good to go?
Yes, sir.
Cody, how you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Awesome. I appreciate you doing this with me. I was not expecting to ever do a podcast like this, but I saw a video of yours a while ago where it was you're a full-time gig worker.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that super interested me about it. So first of all, what's your name for the people that don't know who you are? And what do you do for a living?
My name's Cody. I do a lot of things for a living. Mostly I deliver groceries and help out people and get stuff that they need and take it to them.
And this isn't something that you've always done, right? Because you came from that commercial background. Yeah. So tell me about that, because we were talking a little bit about it earlier before the podcast.
Yeah, so I did about a decade in restaurants and thought that was going to be what I did for my whole life. And COVID happened, whole lot of stress, and I was looking for something else. And I had actually hired a manager who walked out on me on his second day.
Nice.
Because he looked at me and said, I didn't think I'd have to work this hard for this amount of money. And that never even crossed my mind before. So that from that day forward, I've just looked of how to make more money by doing less work.
Yeah.
And if I could support myself like that. And turns out it's a lot easier than I thought.
Well, so we just got back from Italy. And one of the biggest things that we noticed over there was they take their time off seriously. So everyone there closed down for lunch pretty much consistently all around the same time. And for a solid 2 hours, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't go to a store, you couldn't get something to eat during those times. But everyone was just happier there. Everyone just looked healthier there. Whereas here in America, we're everyone's overworked. Everyone is trying their best to make the most money that they can, but also spending the least amount of time with their families and their friends and stuff like that. But you've kind of figured out that way to have free time, but also enjoy what you do.
Oh yeah. And enjoy where I live too. I went from one extreme to the other. I was doing 75, 80 hours a week in a restaurant, busting tail, to now I work about 15 hours a week and I get to spend time doing with whatever I want, with whoever I want, and say yes to opportunities that I never thought I'd be able to.
Sitting down for a podcast just randomly in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Day after July 4th.
Stuff like that. Exactly.
Awesome. So we were talking a little bit before the podcast about some of the gig work that you've done. Before we get into that, what was that turning point for you in the corporate world where you were just enough's enough, this is something that I'm done with?
It was, risking everything for someone else, and that's just not worth it. And if there's something that you want to do in life, you have more opportunity today than ever in history to go do it on your own. You don't need anyone else or a job to let you do something.
What was the first gig job that you did? The one that kind of hooked you?
It was definitely Instacart, which is awesome because the pandemic hit and everybody was getting their groceries delivered. We were getting our groceries delivered. I'm tipping this lady $40 to bring me my groceries. I got to thinking. I was wow, $40, and it probably took her an hour. This is a way to make some good money.
And that's just the tip.
Yeah. So all I did, you don't talk to anybody. You download an app and open your phone, and you accept jobs and you take them. So I started doing that on the side just after work on my way home. I consistently made about $100 a day just on my way home. So can't beat stuff like that. And that was a lot better than working 10, 12, 16-hour days, sweating and making the same amount no matter what.
Did you ever have that thought in the back of your head oh, people are going to judge me for doing Instacart or Uber or any of these little gig things now that a lot of people do? Did you ever have that judgment in the back of your head?
I can see where it comes from, but I'm somebody who's never really cared what people think about me, so it didn't really affect me much. But I see people struggle with that a lot.
Because you could, you proved it pretty much that you don't have to work your typical 9-to-5 job. And the thing is you're self-employed, but you're not. It's a really weird balance because you would normally think about okay, this guy's self-employed or this guy works a 9-to-5 and that's it. Those are the only opportunities you have. But you have figured out this opportunity to where you can do full-time gig work. And it's not just Instacart. What are some of the other gig stuff that you've done?
I've done pretty much everything under the sun that you can download on your phone and just go do.
OnlyFans?
No, like DoorDash, Uber, all those things. But then there's a whole bunch of like hidden little gigs like this that you learn from other people that do stuff like this.
Are you able to talk about that one that we were talking about a little bit ago? Like, without the specifics of...
Maybe not that one, but I've done some other cool ones that...
Tell me about some cool ones.
Yeah, so having all the free time in the middle of the pandemic when everything's going on after just leaving the job and doing gig work, you got a lot more free time. And I'm in Wilmington, so at the time they were filming like 8, 9 TV shows here, and you could go be an extra, and that pays pretty well, and you get to know people through that. And there was a really cool little gig that they were looking for people for that you just picked up COVID tests because when you're filming, you have to get COVID tested like every single day. And the lab that they were sending them to was in Maryland. So they just needed somebody to go collect, verify, and then run them to the lab up in Maryland every single day, twice a day. So there's little gigs. That was a $600 cash job.
Were you driving back and forth?
Yeah, it was straight up 95. It's about 12 hours round trip. And then you come back and do it again if you want. But it's a totally like on-demand job where you could just say, hey, I'm available this day.
Yeah.
Or when do you need me this day? And you could just never pick it up again if you wanted to too. Same with all the apps on the phone.
How do you find like all the gig work? Like obviously the easy ones are the ones that are the popular ones on the phones and stuff like that. But like, how did you stumble across was it not acting? It's kind of like acting. What is it? The
background acting.
Yeah, the background acting. Yeah. It's like the extras. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, how do you stumble across something like that?
It's really just getting to know people.
I think Wilmington is like a movie area anyway, movies, TV shows.
But just networking, talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And, get to know them. If you got the time, why not?
Now, since the pandemic is over, for the most part, everything is pretty much gone back to normal. Has there been like a decline at all in the gig work type of thing, or you just found your way to just consistently get involved?
Yes and no. It's if you want to do the work, then it's totally available, and it's about having an abundance mindset over that scarcity. They hire anybody, and you know that going into it because all you did was open your phone. You didn't go through an interview or anything. So you know that this job is available to anyone who wants it. It's just really about knowing that there's tons of opportunities.
Yeah.
And having that abundance mindset instead of scarcity. Like if you see somebody you've never seen before doing your job or doing a delivery that you do regularly, that's fine. Like it's open to everyone and there's more for you. But you can definitely, being alone all the time, you can have that where you get down on yourself if you're not having a good day or you didn't hit a number this day. But there's always another app or another opportunity, just keeping your eyes open and staying positive and having that mindset that there's enough for everyone to go around, and the people that want it are going to work for it, and the people that don't work for it. So it's still available.
And the cool thing too is that there's no like non-competes, right? I mean, like just because you're delivering for Instacart doesn't mean that you can't deliver for another service as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like pretty much your opportunities are endless at that point.
Yeah. And as more and more people start creating these apps and the technology's there, then it's always going to be available. And then there's smaller apps that don't have, billions in promotion like Uber or Instacart or DoorDash that are just startups basically. And if you can find those, they always pay 10 times more per job than what these big apps do.
Because they're trying to build.
Yeah, they're trying to steal their people, and I'm not an employee, so I have no issue going anywhere, just doing what I want.
That was awesome. So have you run into any, the thing that comes to mind is if you think about like New York City, like the bike messengers. Oh, yeah. And I just feel like they're always in competition with one another. Like they'll knock someone off their bike in a heartbeat. Have you run into anything like that, like in the gig world?
There's definitely people that treat it that way.
Has anyone tried to knock you off your bike?
You might have somebody, steal something at your cart at Costco or something. Or, I don't know, but there's definitely a lot of competition out there that people that don't think that there's enough for everybody in the abundance, they don't reap the benefits afterwards. They'll burn out and not do this job anymore.
What's been the most fun part about being a gig worker?
Helping people out. Like, about 80% of the deliveries I do are regulars that I've been delivering to them for 2-3 years now. And, got a lot of elderly people around here that, you just get to know about their life, and they're kind of just old now and can't do a lot of things. So I'm the person that picks up the slack and is able to help them get whatever they need, put it up in their house, talk to them a little bit if they ain't got anybody around here, and just build relationships and be open to meeting new people all the time.
And the cool part about like not only being able to help people out, but you get to also meet a ton of interesting people.
Oh, yeah.
And just like you said, like your big thing is like you're helping out a lot of elderly people, and I'm sure they got stories for days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like tell me a little bit about that, like the interesting people side of things that you've been able to kind of come across.
Oh, you meet people from all walks of life, and then I primarily service a pretty wealthy area. So it's always interesting to find people that are in the sunset of their life and find out how they got there and take bits and pieces that you want to incorporate into your life because of how successful they are. So it's definitely helped me change my diet, take health a lot more in importance in my life, and you just meet people that have done some crazy things that you would never think of if you didn't take the time to stop and talk to them.
Speaking of people that have done crazy things, with all this time that you have, you somehow found yourself on the Mr. Beast YouTube channel, Banana Man. Yeah,
Me.
that was you. So tell us a little bit about that side. Like, how did that relationship even start? And I mean, I just remember was it on a treadmill, or it wasn't on a treadmill, the bike, stationary bike. And the funniest part was like, is there anything you want? Like, you can pick something right now. I just want some bananas. Like, that's what it was. So tell us like a little bit about that.
So it all came to be, it was, I was just a fan of Mr. Beast like a lot of people on YouTube, and I was buying my nephew a shirt for Christmas off his site, and there happened to be a promotion going on that if you buy merch, you're entered in to be in a video. And 5 days later, I get a DM on Instagram from Mr. Beast inviting me to come to Greenville. And this was the first time he gave away $1 million. So they had picked people from all over the country, and I just so happened to live an hour and a half from Greenville and was able to drive up. But that was probably the scariest day of my life, honestly. I was pushing 300 pounds. I'd been, working 80 hours a week, stuck in this grind set mode that a lot of people are.
So you weren't even in the gig thing then?
Oh, no. This was still restaurants into 2019, pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I was a totally different person, honestly, and I had not exercised at all since high school.
And you had to go on a stationary bike?
Yeah. So Jimmy comes out and he's telling us that you're going to be on this stationary bike, and the last person to get off has a chance to compete in the next video for $1 million. And I knew right away that I was not going to be the last person on that bike. So I just took the mindset of, I'm here to make great content and meet some people, and that's all I want to do. I don't really care about winning $1 million. I got a job that pays all right, and my bills are covered. So
yeah,
that's fine.
Why the bananas?
The bananas was because we were probably about 4 hours in.
You're starting to cramp up?
No, it was people asking about going to the bathroom, and there is no break. So we had Gatorade bottles, and there was a bucket on the floor, but you could not leave that bike. You couldn't stop 20 RPMs.
Oh, no.
So you couldn't stop. And I was just thinking, what's the one thing that's going to make me never have to go to the bathroom? Is I'm going to eat a bunch of bananas.
Was this like the research that you did beforehand? Like, what was it?
Just sitting on a bike with nothing to do and thinking like, oh, I'm going to have to go to the bathroom soon unless I start doing something about that. I made it about 6 more hours. I think I stopped at like 12.
What made you tap out? It's been a while since I saw that video.
The first prize was offered.
Yeah. Honestly. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember that.
I was just waiting for something to be offered to not have wasted my time.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I think I got every game system that was out that year and a new laptop, and it was like $5,000-$6,000 electronics, and I was just happy to get off that bike.
And I'm sure they were not expecting you just be like, oh yeah, sure, this was fun, let's do it again.
Yeah, they wanted people competing for $1 million, and I was like, I'm just here for a good time, guys. But they opened my eyes a lot, and kind of my journey of rethinking my life and my career path I was on. And I'm looking at this, I think Jimmy was like 21 at the time, and I'm pushing 30, 300 pounds, big, fat, sweaty guy. And I'm like, wow, this kid is doing some stuff. And it made a real entrepreneurial spark in me that got me searching for a way out of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And COVID just really, really made that wave keep going.
Would you say that you like fell into the gig work? Like the pandemic kind of forced a lot of people to rethink the way they make money. I think the pandemic was the time where the most businesses were ever started.
Oh yeah.
But like you like thought outside the box. And I know we keep on going back to the whole gig work, but I just find it like super interesting that you were able to figure out how to make a full-time living doing this without working full-time.
Yeah.
What's like some of the places that you've been able to go because of this? I mean, you live here in Wilmington. I found out just now that you got to drive to Maryland every single day, twice a day.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm a homebody. I love Wilmington, and I've been here about a decade. But
It's a solid spot.
Yeah, I didn't even know the city until I started doing gig work because, I could go take you to the beach or do all the touristy stuff, but I didn't know a lot of the history. I just lived here and worked here. And that's what I did, was work and sleep and not much else.
So on top of the gig work, on top of, you trying to figure out like, where your place was at kind of outside of corporate world to now, you also stumbled into the whole kombucha thing.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not only Banana Man, but people also know you as the guy that chugs kombucha every single day for what day are you at now?
437, I believe.
What's been the toughest part about this whole thing? Is it keeping up with the days, or is the consistency? Like, tell me about it.
Remembering what day I'm on is really hard. But besides that, just keeping up with it, something I've really made a point to keep consistent in my life, since I don't have a lot of stability because I live a very unconventional scheduling lifestyle. It's held me accountable for a lot of things, kept me grounded, kept me just making sure I'm doing one thing every single day, every day.
Why kombucha?
Honestly,
Like you could have been chugging like black coffee. Like,
well,
what was it?
doing delivery work and, meeting a lot of different lifestyle people than what I'm accustomed to. And I'm the guy who's out there buying their groceries and bringing them to their doorstep. You get to see what these successful people eat and drink, and gets you a little thinking, like, what is this, first off? Second, why do they do it? And let's give it a try. So I wound up with a free case of it one day after somebody on vacation forgot their address. So you get a lot of free products. And I found a guy on Twitter who was chugging them, and he was doing a little video every day, and he had a little following from it. And I joined in, asked him if I could, and got a fun little group chat going of all these guys that chug kombucha.
With the community?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the leader of that, he stopped at day 69, and I was probably about 30 days in at that point, and I just decided to take it over and keep it going. And that's been over 430 days since then.
That's awesome. I want to ask you some more questions before we actually do this thing. So my thing with whenever you're chugging something, have you figured out like from day one to now, like probably doesn't want to be cold, right? You don't want to chug cold stuff. I can't imagine that's like, you get a brain freeze yet from chugging kombucha?
It definitely depends on the flavor.
Does it?
Yeah, and there's such a wide variety of different kinds. It's just fermented tea flavored however whoever made it wants it to be. But you can have any flavored kombucha, and some of them are quite nasty because they'll be just green juice or grass or whatever it is. I'm not a nutritionist, but they got some really good ones too. And GT Synergy makes probably the best fruity ones that are on the sweeter side.
Heck yeah.
And these are good cold, room temp. If you go past that, it gets a little vinegary.
All right, well, I'm down to do it if you are.
Heck yeah, I'm always down to chug a booch.
Let's do it. This is my first booch chug.
It's a good one to do it with.
Do you shake it? Do you good the way it is?
Don't shake it. It will explode. If you don't like chunky, you can mix it up a little bit.
Okay, but don't shake it.
Don't shake it.
Okay.
It'll blow up on you.
Sounds good.
It can definitely get messy.
Well, how do we do this thing?
All right. You want me to introduce it?
I'd love for you to introduce it.
Well, my name's Cody, and I've been chugging kombucha for 437 consecutive days now. Today we've got a GT Synergy Blood Orange. That smells nice.
It does. It does. My name is Philip, and this is the first time I've ever chugged a kombucha. I'm going to do it with the Kombucha King right now.
and we're gonna chug it.
I don't know how you chug it, but it's really good. Yeah.
They'll get you.
You've become better at chugging stuff since starting this, right?
Oh yeah.
There's no way that you were able to put one down that quick in the beginning.
Not at all. It might take me 2 solid minutes to get one down.
Dude, this is actually really good, though.
Oh, and blood
Yeah.
orange, one of the better flavors of Synergy.
And see, like, I'm not a fan of blood orange at all. Like, not at all. But this actually tastes really good.
Yeah.
Like, you can taste that, like, it tastes like tea. But there's also, like, something else going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't chug it, but I'm going to keep on going with it.
It'll definitely.
I'll face the label out like this while
There
we
you go.
keep doing it. But no, man, like, so, like, is there anything else similar to this that you think is, like, the next step? Like, not the next step, but, like, it doesn't seem like you do stuff just, like, oh, like, I think this is going to be really cool. Like, let's do this. You just got to do it to do it.
Yeah.
So, like, we were watching a hot dog eating competition on ESPN the other day. Like, is that going to be the next thing? Like, just down in hot dogs?
I don't know. I'm not stopping the kombucha, that's for sure. It's got a lot of awesome health benefits that I couldn't explain to you. But since I started doing this, I've not been sick at all.
Yeah.
I mean, not even as much as like a cold or sinus thing or nothing, which I typically get a couple sinus infections a year.
Yeah.
Or I have really bad seasonal allergies ever since I lived here. And this year I hadn't touched a Claritin or anything, which is just amazing. So it's definitely doing something.
And let's talk about your health a little bit. So, I mean, before you started doing this, and you were telling me about the whole Mr. Beast thing before you did that show. You know, you said you were overweight, just unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like, what about like mood wise too? Like, we're just not the same like upbeat, like hype up person, or yeah,
Definitely didn't have as much energy, but I was pushing 300 pounds for most of my 20s, just in that real hustle grind set of American life. You know, you go to work and that's all you do, and you move up in your job, and then you go home so you can come back and do it all over again. Really took a toll on me, not prioritizing myself or my health at all, and taking a step back and seeing what I look like in front of millions of people, honestly, on a Mr. Beast video.
oh, I guess that's that's the time to figure it out, right?
Inspire you to get back on a stationary bike every now and then. But I've definitely changed my diet. And during when the pandemic started, we actually had our last meal at Sup Dogs, and it was the day before like the world shut down. We were coming back from Rocky Mount, going through Greenville, and we got home. You know, they said, you know, everything's closing down and all this. And working in the food industry for a decade, we just decided that if there's some type of sickness going around, the people working in restaurants are probably not the best to touch your food. I mean, I had quite a few employees that I wasn't 100% impressed with their hygiene if I wasn't looking right at them. So we didn't eat at a restaurant for a whole year.
Oh wow.
And that I had lost a lot of weight just from doing that. You're still eating the same amount of stuff, basically the same stuff, but just making it at home and, you know, having complete control of what you intake.
Yeah.
I got under 200 pounds for the first time in my adult life.
What was your heaviest? What was your heaviest?
285, 290.
So you went from 285, and now I think you said you just put some batteries in a scale, and you're like in the 180 mark now, right?
Yeah, hadn't weighed myself in over a year, and I was 181 the other day, which I hadn't seen that size since like 8th, 9th grade, which was incredible.
Yeah.
But intermittent fasting came after taking out restaurants. So I started reading a little about that, and I did a 22-hour fast every single day, and I still give myself like at least 18 hours, but it's just letting your body go through the digestive process instead of just eating when you feel like it or when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to. That's like topping your car off with gas every 10 minutes.
I did a 48-hour fast recently, and it was a buddy of mine. He just said, he was like, yeah, if like try it, you're gonna have to force yourself to eat after 48 hours. I was like, no way. Like after 48 hours, your boy's gonna want to eat. Like I'm not gonna have to force myself at all. Sure enough, dude, like apparently after 19 hours, that's when like your cravings completely all go away. And then after that, like after the 19-hour mark is easy. So I actually had to force myself to eat after the 48-hour mark. And a buddy of mine, he told me, he was like, yeah, just make sure like whatever you choose to eat, like don't go all out because it's not going to end well. So I got hibachi. So yeah, I got teriyaki chicken, fried rice, and I always get 2 things of fried rice. I was like, dude, I'm hungry. Like I earned it. Oh, felt like shit. It was bad. Yeah, it was horrible. But the cool thing about like the whole, like all these, I guess, holistic approaches, you know, when it comes to kombucha, when it comes to intermittent fasting, long-term fasting, people don't realize that it's actually giving your gut a break. Like, because if you think about it, if you don't fast at all, if you don't do like the whole intermediate fasting or long-term fasting, your gut is constantly like doing something. Like you are, if you're eating an Oreo, you got to digest it at some point, right? Yeah. So like giving your body a break to like actually heal itself. I learned a lot of stuff doing that. And then, have you ever done the cold plunges?
I haven't. I'd love to.
Dude, 100%. So the only reason like I was able to do it is because we have a pool in the backyard. So I think it was January is when I started doing it. So I would jump into the pool, and this is like when frost was still on the ground.
Yeah.
So frost is on the ground, and you would jump in the pool, and you would actually have steam coming up from the pool just because of your body heat, and stay in there for 3 minutes and rock and roll from there. But you felt great, like at the end of the day. So there's all these like little health things that people can do that they don't think about. What's some of the other things you did? Like, did you exercise at all, or was it really just changing the diet?
I don't exercise too much, honestly. You know, I haven't changed much of that side of my lifestyle, but I did start incorporating a lot of walking. And that's more like the gig work gave me the opportunity to explore where I lived. So Wilmington has these beautiful parks that are never that busy, but they've got these great walking trails, like great ponds everywhere, just great facilities. So I try to take advantage of that, and I walk like, you know, a couple miles 2 or 3 times a day and just in a different place, just try to see something new every day.
Nice.
But as for like exercise, that's the next step. I need to get in the gym.
Me too.
I work on.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah.
I definitely haven't put much effort into that side.
My exercise has always been like the activity-based thing. So like growing up skateboarding, like that was my exercise. But then I found out that's why I blew my knee out, was because like I wasn't actually going to the gym and like working the muscles around my knees. Yeah. So I found out that, you know, maybe that would have been the best thing to do. But yeah, I'm in the same boat where like I just have to do something. I just can't go to a gym somewhere and do something.
Yeah.
So yeah. Aside from that, man, like, I mean, I think it's time to start wrapping this thing up, but any advice that you have for people out there that are unhappy with their life in the corporate world, they just feel like they can't change it, like they're stuck in there. What advice do you have for them?
I definitely say don't keep your eyes open more for opportunities, because it's all around us. We live in this society that just seeks out comfort all the time and wants something done for you. But if you're not comfortable in your own situation, know that there's a way to go make $50 if you need it today. Like, you don't have to feel like your boss is your lifeline to any type of financial issues you have. It's just about start taking your own responsibilities more into account of no one else is there to save you. You go out, there's tons of opportunities today where if you got not a dime to your name, you can come home with a couple $100 without having doing a whole lot of work and not answer to anybody just by having a phone. And that's incredible. Like, that was not a thing 10 years ago. So you live in the day and age where pretty much anything is possible and it's all at your fingertips. But instead of like watching TikTok for 3 hours, find a way to go fix your situation that you want to get out of, because the opportunities are there. Somebody needs their groceries. Somebody needs, dinner tonight because they got 10 kids running around, can't go to the store. So just go with an open heart to help somebody out, and these things fall into place. You don't have to worry about doing stuff for someone else. You're just doing it for yourself. And at the end of the day, it all plays out.
And what about advice for people that, they have a full-time job and they love it, but they want to make some extra income? Like, is this possible for them to actually do the gig work and actually make a decent little bit of extra side money?
Definitely. The opportunities are endless. And I think it takes a lot of stress off somebody who has a job that they love, that has financial issues, You don't need to just depend on that job for your finances. If you love it, do it because you love it, and find another way to deal with your bills, because this day and age, you can make money doing pretty much anything. So it leaves that time to do whatever you love. I'm 32 and I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
That's solid though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives me the opportunity to explore whatever I want to explore and find a job I love that I want to do, not for money, but just because I love it.
And that's the cool part about what you do too, is that you will, you either have two paths right now. You either continue the gig work, which it seems like you enjoy, it seems like you love it, or you're going to find your way into something that you love just because you were doing something that you enjoyed in the first place. So it kind of seems like a no-brainer that you're in a pretty good situation to do what you want to do. Because I meet too many miserable people. That's the problem. I meet too many miserable people that are very successful, but they hate what they do, and they hate the people that they work with. And you don't get bored, I can't imagine, because you're not working with the same people every day. Like, you're not meeting the same people all the time. But as far as the consistency goes, like, do you have consistent people that you like deliver to and see and meet and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I'd say I've been doing this basically full time, I guess. Full time, I work like 15, 20 hours a week. But I've got probably 75% of the delivery work I do is regulars that I've been doing for 2-3 years now, and you get to really know like whole families and people's kids when you come up and drop their stuff off. So I mean, there's a lot of regularity in that type of work. But yeah, it's something different every day. And if you don't feel like doing it today, you don't have to. And it's just making yourself available to do whatever you want to do.
Man, last question I got for you. Like your outlook on life and your positivity is insane. Like it's infectious. You started doing some other videos recently. It was best day. What was it? It's like best day of my life, or what is it?
Yeah, the best day of my life. That's how my daily videos started, actually.
Yeah.
They kind of formed into drinking a kombucha every day. So I kind of just melded the two together. But
how important is it just to have like that positive outlook? Because like it not only like it probably helps you out, but it probably helps out the people around you too.
Oh, definitely. Why would you live any other way, honestly? Situations are the same for everybody. Most of the time, it's all about how you look at those situations. And anybody can be miserable doing whatever they're doing, but you could just choose to look at it in a different way. Like, hey, I have the opportunity to do this. Or if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Because we live in a place where if you don't want to do something, there's another opportunity for you around the corner. Like, there's more jobs available than there is people. So why not be happy about it? And if you don't like what you're doing, let someone else that does like it do it, and go find whatever you want.
Awesome, man. Well, I enjoyed it. Cheers.
It was a pleasure.
It was. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Dude, you killed it. Dude, that was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and thanks so much for watching. For more on Black Tie Optional, subscribe on YouTube by hitting the notification bell or follow us on social media. Black Tie Optional also streams across all podcast platforms, so the next time you're in the car or at the gym, look us up by typing in Black Tie Optional Podcast. Again, thanks so much for watching and listening, and until next time, stay motivated.